Welcome to the Cirrus presentation for AI Expo Africa 2020. My name is Gregg Barrett and I'm the CEO of Cirrus. Over the course of the next 15 minutes, I'll provide an overview of the developments since the public launch of Cirrus that took place at AI Expo Africa in 2019. For those that are not aware, Cirrus is a private sector-led initiative, bringing together academia and industry for the establishment of a world-class AI research and application capability for Africa. This capability will enable a transformation in scientific research and commercialization in the region. Although launched in 2019, Cirrus already represents several years of work and is the largest and most complex undertaking of its kind in Africa's history. So what problem are we fundamentally addressing with Cirrus? AI or machine learning is a critical component of modern day science. At present, Africa has no AI capabilities to support scientific work, both in research and application, as is found in other regions of the world. Cirrus addresses this capability deficiency in full. Cirrus has three major components. Cirrus itself houses the cooperation programs, the state-of-the-art computing infrastructure, and the open learning programs. The second component, the Cirrus Foundry, is equipped with everything needed to bridge what is called the valley of death, and that is overcoming the challenge of turning a startup idea or scientific research into large-scale commercial application. The business of the Cirrus Foundry is building other businesses. It is characterized by ideation generally carried out by an in-house team, the use of in-house staff in product creation, building multiple products centered around AI with the objective of being standalone businesses, retaining some ownership stake, and has a capital fund. For these reasons, it is not an incubator or an accelerator, and referred to as a foundry. Cirrus also has an agreement in place with the Cortex Group, who intend to establish a mirrored version of the Cirrus Foundry in Cape Town, named Cirrus Foundry Cape. The third component, the Cirrus Foundry Fund, is the in-house fund to support startups in the Cirrus Foundry to ensure they are not wholly dependent on outside capital. On to some of the developments of the last year since our launch. Zeblon Vilakazi, who launched Cirrus in 2019 at AI Expo Africa, at the time was Deputy Vice Chancellor and has now been appointed as the Vice Chancellor of Wits University. Wits University is slated to be the host university for Cirrus. This means that the Cirrus infrastructure will be housed at Wits University, and Wits University will lead the formation of the Cirrus Consortium. More on that in a few slides. Continuing on the Wits side, Barry Dwolatzky has been appointed as the Cirrus project lead at Wits. Barry played a leading role in the establishment of the Tumela precinct, the Johannesburg Centre for Software Engineering, and the IBM Research Laboratory at Wits. Some of the members of the Cirrus team that have been working behind the scenes over the last several years include Advocate Louis Nell, who leads General Counsel, Johan Brink, who leads Corporate and Investment Banking, Eric Talman, who leads Procurement, Supply Chain and Operations, Andre van der Merwe, who leads Intellectual Property, and Dr. Jacques Ludic, who leads efforts on the Cirrus Foundry Cape, the Machine Intelligence Institute of Africa, and is a member of the Cirrus Advisory Council. Looking at some of the high-level Cirrus targets. The Cirrus high-performance computing platform will be the most powerful system in Africa, and the target is a top 50 position in the top 500 list. For reference, there is currently not a single African installation on the top 500 list. The Cirrus HPC platform will be powered by renewable energy in the form of solar. At peak, there should be in excess of 4.2 megawatts in solar generation, and on a poor day in winter, that should fall to around 2 megawatts. The HPC facility is itself slated to be around 7,000 square feet. For those that drive on the right side of the road, that is around 650 square meters. The HPC facility will also be the most efficient in Africa, and to be so, it will use liquid cooling, likely warm water cooling. At this stage, only some of the hardware vendors support cold plates and manifolds. However, as liquid cooling is more efficient, there is a trend towards liquid cooling, and if the majority of vendors support such at the time of installation, we will then be moving from rear door heat exchangers to cold plates and manifolds. Cirrus will have 4 academic programs: residency, intern, postdoc, and assistantship. The Cirrus Foundry will have its own version of the intern and residency programs. The target capitalization of the Cirrus Foundry Fund is $35 million. Delving a little deep into the energy side, during daylight hours, on average, there will be around 3 megawatts in generation, of which roughly 1.5 megawatts will support operations, and the remaining 1.5 megawatts will feed into storage. On the storage side, the targets are for at least 14 megawatt hours of storage, with a 15-year lifespan and a target efficiency of at least 75% electricity to electricity. In support of this, flow batteries, lithium-ion, liquid metal batteries, and thermal storage platforms are being explored and represent viable options. Compressed air storage and hydrogen have also been explored, but at present these platforms do not support at least 75% electricity to electricity efficiency. For all but one of the energy storage platforms, Cirrus will be the first installation in Africa. I will now briefly take you through how this translates to matters on the ground. On your screen is a map of Wits University, including the 3 sites where Cirrus infrastructure is to be housed. Site 1 will house the Cirrus HPC Center and be home to Cirrus operations. The land area is approximately 35,000 square feet, which translates to about 3,252 square meters. Site 2. Site 2 is comprised of 2 areas. One will house the energy storage facility. The land area is also approximately 35,000 square feet, or about 3,252 square meters. The second area will be home to part of the solar installation. The area in white is approximately 72,000 square feet, or 6,690 square meters. The area in yellow represents additional reserve capacity for generation and is 35,000 square feet in size. The extent to which this reserve capacity is utilized is dependent on the efficiency of the installed panels. Site 3. Site 3 will house an additional 71,000 square feet, or 6,596 square meters of solar generation. In summary, that is around 178,000 square feet, or 16,538 square meters of solar generation in total. While we're on the subject of solar generation, our target solar efficiency is 30%. Marked on the graphic are 3 of the options that meet this target efficiency. At this stage, installation looks likely to be 2022, so we believe that this target is attainable. Turning our attention to the Cirrus Consortium. It's through the Cirrus Consortium that academic and research institutions will have access to Cirrus resources and infrastructure. Wits University will be leading the engagement, with academic and research institutions wishing to join the consortium. This table provides a summary of what consortium members will have access to. It covers Cirrus, the Cirrus Foundry, and the Cirrus Foundry Fund. An overview of each of the items listed in the table is available in the consortium documentation, which is available for prospective consortium members. Importantly, there are no consortium membership dues, so participation in the consortium is free. You will note that the table includes access to the Fabric node. Fabric is the National Science Foundation funded mid-scale testbed for the development of the next generation internet architecture. In the simplest of terms, the testbed will enable researchers from around the world to collaborate on experiments for the development of future internet technologies. In a first for Africa, the intention is that Cirrus will host a node, thus enabling researchers in Africa to conduct their own experiments on the testbed. Fabric is relevant and important to Cirrus for several reasons, including the role of AI in future internet technologies and the development and testing of connectivity to research centers located around the world. This is a schematic view of the consortium structure. To simplify the consortium documentation, the documents including the bylaws, charter, membership benefits, and the consortium membership agreement are each a separate document. Consortium members need only process the consortium membership agreement, which is a 4-page document. The consortium membership agreement supports 2 classes of membership, Tier 1 and Tier 2. Tier 1 is differentiated from Tier 2 by a high level of engagement through the appointment of an ambassador. The ambassadors serve as community builders, making connections between people and resources, and will be senior strategic individuals within their local institution, and will typically be supported by a project manager. Collectively, the ambassadors form part of the Ambassador Advisory Network, which provides input and direction to the consortium governing body, the Cirrus Advisory Council. So how do stakeholders engage with Cirrus? Cirrus is structured to support public and private sector engagement. Private sector engagement will be handled by a global investment banking firm. The reason for this is that the immense amount of work to be undertaken on this front is exactly the kind of work that is performed by investment banks. Strategic founding partners are the private sector organizations supporting Cirrus. At last count, the list of potential strategic founding partners stood at 156 firms, and this is not including any foundations and philanthropies. Importantly, these firms all have research, academic, and corporate venture capital operations that are relevant to Cirrus work. All strategic founding partners will receive equity in Cirrus, a seat on the Advisory Council, and permanent admission to the partner program. In terms of the role of government, the Cirrus approach is for government to support its local academic and research institutions. These institutions then have access to Cirrus infrastructure and resources through the Cirrus Consortium. This approach ensures that Cirrus does not take away from or compete for resources needed by academic and research institutions. Further, and very importantly, this approach ensures that there is no bureaucratic, political, and poor governance spillover into Cirrus. So what is in the pipeline? The Cirrus Consortium rollout will be commencing during the course of September, with Wits University issuing invitations to academic and research institutions. If you are from an academic or research institution and would like to ensure that your institution is invited to participate, please reach out to the contact listed on the Cirrus website. On the private sector side, the announcement of the investment banking team will be made in the coming months, and formal engagement with prospective strategic founding partners will occur during the course of 2021. A briefing session at Wits University is slated for March 2021. However, this is dependent on the virus situation, as the event is intended to be an in-person event with international public and private sector attendance. The following links can be used to access supporting documentation, which includes the 2019 launch presentation, a 2-page handout, and a recent interview with Synapse magazine. We are already in collaboration with several organizations. Science Gateways Community Institute, SGCI, where the goal is to build a long-term strategic partnership of complementary organizations. The Machine Intelligence Institute of Africa, MIA, where MIA is advancing collaboration with Cirrus across Africa. The Cortex Group, who will lead the establishment of Cirrus Foundry Cape. MLPerf, where Cirrus will contribute open source programs and datasets to the MLPerf community. I have a little more on MLPerf on the following slide. Berkeley Skydeck, where Cirrus Foundry will be building a pipeline to feed into Skydeck. And AI Media, where Cirrus will continue to support the AI media efforts, which include AI Expo Africa and Synapse magazine in community building in the African region. For those that are not familiar with MLPerf, MLPerf provides benchmarks for measuring training and inference performance of machine learning hardware, software, and services. MLPerf recently released the latest round of benchmarks, which included a steady uptake in participation. Notably, there was a 2.7x average improvement in performance across the unchanged benchmarks. There was also the creation of additional benchmarks, indicative of the evolution of the machine learning field. Lastly, keep a lookout for ML Comments, which is currently in the works and due to be launched in the coming weeks. In closing, the Cirrus contact details are available on the Cirrus website, and we can also be found on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn with the following handles. Thank you.